When a nun takes her vows, she pledges herself to poverty, chastity, and obedience. But these nuns, well, they didn't get the memo.
I feel that I no longer have a true vocation, Reverend Mother. And my confessor has advised me that I can be of more use out here in the city.
Stump it! Hypocrite! Tell me you have no vocation! Of course you have a vocation!
When you think of a convent, do you imagine cloaked women in silent prayer, or ethereal chanting echoing throughout the stone walls? Or perhaps you imagine the aroma of incense and the soft glow of flickering candlelight. Nuns have been a source of intrigue and mystery for centuries. As the brides of Christ, they symbolize purity and self-sacrifice. So what happens if you take this important religious tradition and distort it into something so unrecognizable, so unhinged, and call it cinema? You get Nunsploitation. Nunsploitation is one of the most blasphemous subgenres of exploitation. It sprinkles in torture, sex, and murder, just for the sake of shocking the audience.
Now pray and beg God to forgive you. You must be punished for your sin.
There are secret love affairs, lesbian desires, pacts with Satan, and biting into the forbidden fruit. Naturally, Nunsploitation would flourish in the 70s, the golden age of exploitation films. But is there a deeper meaning worth investigating? Or is it merely a subgenre used to profit off of lonely men in the movie theater?
Togli quella veste impura. Solo il saio benedetto deve ricoprire il tuo corpo.
Andatevene.
Io devo restare. Ho il dovere di controllare.
I want to make it clear that Nunsploitation isn't an accurate depiction of convents and nuns themselves. They lead a structured life of prayer, help the poor, and live in tight-knit communities. Nunsploitation uses fictionalized cinematic tropes, and I want to explore what those represent and why they use nuns specifically. Also, Nunsploitation is exploiting things for the sole purpose of exploiting things. So, well.
You're gonna see some serious shit.
Don't say I didn't warn you. So without further ado, I picked 10 Nunsploitation films for this topic. These 10 are exclusively Golden Age films of the 70s, but there are still some really good ones from all decades, like New Nuns with Big Guns. It will be missed from this list.
This sister is one bad mother.
And at the end, I will rank them from worst to best based on cinematography, themes, and how far they push the boundaries, so stay tuned. We have been fascinated by naughty nuns way before they made it on the big screen. Some in fantastical fiction, and some told in true historical events. The Nun of Monza is probably one of the most influential historical figures for naughty nuns. Sister Virginia was born into nobility, but was later forced into a life at a convent. There, she meets a young nobleman named Giovanni Polo Ustio, where they start a steamy love affair. Eventually, she bears him a child, a secret they must keep hidden. It's a big no-no to have a baby out of wedlock, let alone after pledging your life to God. Their scandal was threatened to be revealed by another nun. So, with Sister Virginia's blessing, Ustio killed her. Yep. That would keep her quiet. She made it clear to the other nuns that they will face the same fate if they dared reveal her secret to the church. But she couldn't stop the power of a rumor, and the Inquisition came to investigate. The Spanish Inquisition is bad news for Sister Virginia and Ustio because they are basically the religious police of enforcing Catholic doctrine. Anyone deemed a heretic could possibly be burned at the stake. No pressure. After their investigation, both sinners were found guilty of their crimes. Ustio got the death sentence, and Sister Virginia was condemned to pray in a walled-up room for 13 years. Her story has inspired countless movies. There is also this famous book by Aldous Huxley called The Devils of Loudun. He details the true story of nuns claiming that they were possessed by demons, which led to the execution of the town's most charismatic priests. From these true events, you have a story about a victim of her circumstance being stripped of her autonomy and forced to live a cloistered life. You also have a story of a sinner, someone who breaks her vows and will do anything to keep it from coming out. Lastly, you have hysterical nuns, talks of demons, and executions. This will lay the groundwork for Nunsploitation to come. You can find one of the first naughty nuns in the amazing silent film Häxan, where a nun is seduced by the devil. This is probably one of the most stunning silent films ever. It offers a visceral exploration of the occult and witchcraft throughout history. Don't let the lack of sound stop you from enjoying it. Anyways, in 1947 came Black Narcissus, another gorgeous classic. It's about nuns that are supposed to turn a former harem into a school located on the high tops of the Himalayas. They have to overcome the sensual paintings on the wall, the wilderness of the mountains, and the good looks of Mr. Dean.
I suppose you know who I am.
You must be Mr. Dean.
Of course, there's also the Polish film Mother Joan of the Angels that came out in 1961. It is actually loosely based on the story of the Devils of Loudun, hysterical nuns and all. These films were controversial for their themes, but they stand apart from exploitation because the darker elements are implied, not explicit. They were the seeds planted that gave birth to something a little more sleazy. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about what's going on in 70s cinema. Created by powerful Catholic figures in the 1930s, the Hays Code pressured Hollywood to follow strict rules under pressure from the Catholic League of Decency. Wow, sounds like a fun group of people. Basically, no nudity, no lustful kissing, no white slaves, no gay love, and absolutely no sacrilegious imagery. It was losing power by the 1950s and was officially abandoned in 1968. So all of a sudden, filmmakers can depict all sorts of taboos. And man, did they ever. Exploitation, lesbian vampires, women in cages.
Women in Cages, the sensational new motion picture that rips the veil off the dirtiest racket ever conceived by the minds of vicious men.
And Nunsploitation, which is predominantly a European subgenre. So while the Hays Code was a set of American guidelines, European filmmakers could tap into a market that was starting to take off and gain international attention. These films were called filone. It's an Italian term for cheap and quickly produced films that are following the trends of other films. They are similar-ish to the grindhouse movies in the States that were coming out around the same time. Obviously different in tone and how they were distributed. Kind of get the picture. European Nunsploitation mostly takes place in the medieval period with essential softcore sleaze and melodrama.
So much time has passed. It seemed endless.
5 months and 12 days. Do you remember the last time we saw each other?
Millions of times I've relived that meeting. I've also dreamt it.
But Europe wasn't the only country coming out with Nunsploitation. Mexico also served up some unholy classics like Satanico Pandemonium and Alucarda. Fun fact, Quentin Tarantino is a fan of exploitation cinema and named the vampire stripper from Dusk to Dawn after Satanico Pandemonium.
Bow your head, kneel and worship at the feet of Satanico Pandemonium.
not surprising that countries like Italy, Spain, Mexico were coming out with naughty nuns because Catholicism has such a dominant presence in these countries. I mean, Italy is a literal neighbor of the Vatican City. There is one country that's a little surprising, but not at the same time, and that's Japan. These were called pinky films, similar concept to Italian Filone and American Grindhouse, but Japanese. Again, different in style and how they were produced. Unlike European and Mexican films, Japanese films normally took place in the modern times. Their takes on nuns has been categorized as a little cartoonish and seen through the lens of their own culture. More on that later. So let's explore the tropes of nunsploitation and what makes them so naughty. So why did our protagonists become nuns in the first place? It wasn't because they wanted to, I'll tell you that. Like Sister Virginia, they most likely have been forced into the convent by their families because they were all frolicking with a man. How else is a family going to keep a woman's purity? Poor Sister Maria. She was minding her own business and flirting with a boy when she was caught by a lingering priest. He scolds her and tells her that she has to show penance by becoming a nun.
You didn't bother me, my child, but what about God?
Marie, where are you?
It is your lustful and wanton behavior in front of God's servant.
Her mother doesn't have a lot of money for a dowry, but the priests insist that she must do whatever it takes since Maria's soul is at risk.
Padre, I don't have money. What am I to do?
You are responsible then for her sins, and you will join her in purgatory. Children of Satan, condemned both of you.
I guess the boy she was frolicking with soul is fine. He'll probably just go to confession in the morning and move on with his life. So the mother gives all of her savings to the gleeful priest. All Flavia the Heretic had to do was just smile at a man before he was beheaded by her father, and then she was sent off to her cloister fate. Kind of an overreaction, don't you think? When the protagonist does go to the convent on her own volition, it is because there is a mysterious secret that is drawing her there. Like Sister Maya in School of the Holy Beast, who is investigating the death of her mother, who was a nun at this very strange convent. Which, to be fair, every convent is strange in their own special way. Labyrinthine corridors stretch into darkness, and staircases lead down to dungeons where anyone who steps out of line is quietly dealt with. Then there are iron bars shielding the windows, making it look like a prison. Some are more literal than others. It's a visual representation of how the protagonist is forced to live there against her will. Its eerie, dark atmosphere is the perfect stage for the madness and paranoia to take hold. When the heroine arrives at her new cloistered home, her virginity is often checked to ensure that she is physically as well as spiritually pure. Important stuff. The heroines are feeling humiliated and uncomfortable when the checkups are being performed on them. But since we are dealing with nunsploitation here, it's of course framed in a fetishistic way. Girl, you're enjoying this a little too much. These inspections are usually carried out by the domineering Mother Superior, the ultimate enforcer of purity and obedience. She conspires with other members of the church to gain or maintain her power at the expense of others. She is probably one of the most sexually repressed characters in these twisted films, and she takes out her anger and frustrations in cruel ways.
Vorrei essere al posto della badessa. Vedi come preme il corpo di Rosario.
She especially has a disliking towards our heroine for a variety of reasons. It could be because she has a rebellious spirit, or because Mother Superior has an underlying desire for her. Or she's just satanic. In Love Letters of a Portuguese Nun, Mother Alma forces Sister Maria into this violating satanic ritual to keep her silent about the atrocities that are happening at the convent. Her mother sent her off to protect her virginity, but it was weaponized against her instead. Then there is Mother Julia from The Nun and the Devil. She will do anything to become Mother Superior, manipulating and scheming her way to the top. So what are all the other naughty nuns up to? Well, they're just enjoying themselves in lesbian escapades. I mean, it only makes sense since there are no men nearby. You only have each other to get it on with, right? totally not fetishized whatsoever. The virginal heroine is at the mercy of the predatory lesbians, and it's totally not fetishized whatsoever. I kid you not. The heroine will just be sitting there with another nun, and she just starts touching her while they're having this conversation. Like, come on. Totally not fetishized whatsoever. This is probably one of the most popular tropes used in exploitation, just in general. The filmmakers aren't trying to be progressive with it. They're just using it to get the audience all hot and bothered while reinforcing stereotypes of queer women. The only nunsploitation film that I think somewhat handled queerness in any profound way is Alucarda. Two orphans, Justine and Alucarda, become best friends at a convent. Their bond becomes very emotional and intimate.
I've never been in love with anyone, and never shall, unless it's with you. Do you mean that?
Which is only solidified when they're joined together in a satanic ritual. And the nuns? Well, they take it very well. Justine and Alucarda's relationship can be read through a queer lens, as their relationship is depicted as satanic and condemned as such. The sisters desperately try to exorcise the demons within the girls.
My poor Justine. Now, come on, you've got to help me. No, you've got to get up. No!
But their power only grows stronger. It's almost like they're rebelling against the church and their outdated rules. But not all nuns resort to sleeping with other nuns. They will also bring their secret hetero lovers from the outside. And this is where the melodrama gets so good.
I was never able to dream of you. Who knows why? Perhaps it's because in the daytime I imagine you're always by my side talking to me.
I tell you all the time that I love you.
I say it too, all the time.
The heroine's secret lover has to find a way to break her free from the convent so they can run off and get married. In the Sinful Nuns of St. Valentine, Lucita's father doesn't want her to marry Albornoz because they have been feuding with them for a long time because reasons?
La tanto nobile famiglia de Fuentes non poteva imparentarsi con gli Albornoz. Sono secoli che continuiamo a odiarci. Meglio una figlia monaca che l'affronto di una simile unione, vero?
So he does what a good naughty nun's father would do and sends her off to a convent. But that doesn't stop her lover, Esteban Albornoz, from trying to rescue her. He battles in sword duels, escapes capture from the authorities, and has to get past the Mother Superior by sleeping with her. Wait. A trope unique to Japanese nunsploitation is when the heroine brings men into the convent so they can, well, assault the other nuns. All because the heroine wanted her sweet, sweet revenge and to loosen them up a bit. So, yeah, that's not great. But sex isn't the only thing on a naughty nun's mind. Sometimes their desires can turn deadly. There are murderous plots around each corner, and no naughty nun is safe. Lucita is framed for killing a fellow nun just because of some diabolical scheme to steal her man. Mother Julia straight up just poisons the Mother Superior. Then there's Flavia the Heretic that uses the Muslim invaders to get her revenge on the convent that has oppressed her. One of the most famous killer nuns is Sister Gertrude from Killer Nun. After having a brain tumor removed, she becomes convinced it's still there, so she begins to spiral into madness, drugs, and violence. Like torturing this poor elderly resident by smashing her dentures. Like, look how sad this woman is. Oh my gosh. People start dying around her in strangely beautiful and stylized ways. And when it comes to nuns committing murder, it's really hard to tell what is real and what is fantasy. There are lurid, dreamlike sequences filled with bright red blood, crucifixes, and strange erotic imagery. This is as close to horror as nunsploitation gets. Bodies rise from the dead, naked people dance around, and the flames on the crosses suddenly bloom into flowers. Some of the most striking dream sequences come from films like Flavia the Heretic, which looks like it wandered straight out of an avant-garde fever dream. Yes, a naked woman literally climbs inside a gutted cow. Did Sister Maria become Mother Superior? Or is the devil showing her something she deeply desires? While navigating so many sinful thoughts, how could the naughty nuns ever get themselves back on the straight and narrow path? They punish themselves, like using rose vines around their waist or putting their knees on broken glass. Ow! But their favorite method is flogging. But sometimes it's just too late for them, and the devil creeps into their mind. Sister Maria was innocently picking the flowers of the Garden of Eden, when she is approached by a naked stud, the devil, who tempts her with a taste of his apple, forbidden fruit. She runs away, but he is always reappearing, making it harder to say no to the forbidden fruit. So as she begins to indulge a little of her fantasies, and the world around her begins to become more chaotic and grotesque. This isn't the only devil to make an appearance in Nunsploitation. There is also this Dr. Evil incarnate in Love Letters of a Portuguese Nun. However, the devil doesn't just serve as a tempter. Sometimes he is used as a tool to cause mass hysteria. You say Satan, they say hail. The naughty nuns are screaming, ripping their habits off, and convulsing on the floor. It cannot be distinguished whether they are in pain or full on ecstasy. It could be read as a way of letting out all of that pent-up sexual frustration. One of the most famous examples of hysterical nuns is the Ursuline convent in The Devils. This film is also based on Huxley's book The Devils of Loudun. Sister Jeanne is hunchbacked and confined to a stale convent. She becomes obsessed with a sexy, arrogant priest named Urbain Grandier. A request is sent to Grandier to be the confessor at Ursuline that she desperately hopes he accepts, but he politely declines. He is not the holiest priest. He does get an important man's daughter pregnant after all. But the greatest sin he ever committed was being outspoken against church corruption.
Loudun is a nest of dangerous Huguenots. They outnumber we good Catholics 2 to 1.
Every single Protestant in Loudun remained loyal to the king and to France throughout the religious wars.
After he secretly marries another woman and rejects Jeanne's offer to be their confessor, she does what any rational woman of the 17th century would do. She accuses him of witchcraft. If only it was so simple now. The church catches wind of this and uses Sister Jeanne's accusation to their advantage, because they need Grandier out of the way to gain control of Loudun. In a very blatant manipulation tactic, they convince the nuns that they too are possessed by the devils, which kicks off their hysterical madness.
You will scream.
Yes.
You will blaspheme. You will no longer be responsible for your actions.
And this causes a whole spectacle, which the faceless townsfolk are gobbling up. And let me remind you, based on a true story. The Devils is looking straight into the eyes of the church leaders and pointing its finger at their hypocrisy and need for control.
We both know why I have been brought to trial, and we both know why I have been found guilty.
Devil! Witch! Heretic!
And the other Nunsploitation church leaders don't escape the same scathing critique. In the Sinful Nuns of St. Valentine, the convent was way too sinful. I mean, it's in the title. So the church leaders decided the only way to keep this from getting out is by walling up all the naughty nuns inside the convent, hoping they would just perish and never be found.
Questa ignominia non deve diventare motivo di scandalo. Non se ne deve parlare.
no sin here. The convent and the Nun and the Devil is set to receive a large donation from an aristocratic family. So it's pretty convenient that the Spanish Inquisition is brought in to cleanse all the debauchery at Mother Julia's convent, and they're the ones that get to take home the wealth. Both the church leaders and the Spanish Inquisition are seen as a dark presence looming over the naughty nuns' lives, the faceless authority that will carry out some of the cruelest torture. And there are plenty of torture methods used. Some are actually based on real methods used back in the day. There is the Spanish donkey and the Nun and the Devil. Then there is ingesting boiling water, bone spinning, burning flesh, removing nipples, taking eyes out, enemas, flogging, more flogging, just all sorts of fun stuff. School of the Holy Bees takes home the prize for some of the best torture sequences. The most iconic torture, by far, is when Sister Maya is bound by rose vines while the other nuns beat her with free-cut roses, blood, rose petals flying everywhere. And she's shaking her head in slow motion, looking like she's posing at a beach model shoot. It's absolutely beautiful and so extra. The unluckiest naughty nuns that have found themselves at the mercy of the Inquisition, though, will be handed down a death sentence. Sister Julia was granted a painless, quick death by her own hands. It's very fast acting. Flavia the Heretic's death still gives me shivers. She is tied up and is flayed alive. Good mother of God. So what's with all this torture? So filmmakers have logical excuses for torturing beautiful naked women. It's really just that simple. That is probably why they take place during the Spanish Inquisition. So we can appease the audience overlords who need nudity and violence in like a plot sort of way. But I do think, I know it sounds crazy, but perhaps, maybe there's some feminist themes here. Just hear me out. Before Mother Julia drinks her poison, she points out all the hypocrisies of the church leaders.
You are judging me for corruption and cruelty. Am I more cruel and corrupt than you?
Yeah, she did some heinous stuff, like killing the Mother Superior and, you know, having sex or whatever. But for what the church did to her and her sisters is so much worse. Remember the Spanish donkey? Flavia the Heretic was seething in her oppression in a man's world.
Why is God male? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. All male.
Her being trapped in the convent has nothing to do with her relationship with God, but keeping her controlled.
And what if a woman decided to go beyond those boundaries?
A lot of naughty nuns are one-note characters, like the predatory lesbians, but a lot of them are depicted as flawed characters. They can be shown as power-hungry, jealous, greedy, and just downright psychotic. These filmmakers are all criticizing the church for being oppressive towards women and telling them that their very normal human feelings of sexuality is wrong.
Just a woman without sex, a fool, who's been used, defrauded, and denied the simplest human emotions and pleasures.
Similarly, in Japanese Nunsploitation, filmmakers are also using the church as a way of critiquing how their government can be oppressive. The Mother Superiors and church leaders are seen as more authoritarian and obsessed with obedience. The heroines don't normally assimilate to the church law and show that they are actively fighting against it by any means of revenge. Sister Runa scammed a priest that wronged her in so many ways, and she uses the stolen money to run away with her lover. At the heart of Nunsploitation, filmmakers can explore women's sexuality under oppression, even if it's for the male gaze. So you would think that with the exploitation of the Golden Age long gone, then it's done for, right?
Je sais pas comment Dieu fait arriver les choses. Je sais seulement qu'il accomplit sa volonté à travers nous.
N'ayez crainte. La comète est le signe que le Seigneur nous protège.
Wrong. it's still titillating audiences today. The most recent example is Bernadetta in 2021, based on the true story of Bernadetta. The nuns aren't just used as exploitation set pieces though. They can be monsters like the fantastic nun in the Conjuring universe. Also, they are used to comment on the politics today trying to control women's bodies. In 2024, The First Omen and Immaculate came out, both having the nun protagonists being forced to carry babies to term for some unholy purpose.
It's a miracle. You are with child.
Now, like promised, I will get into my ranking of the 10 Golden Age Nunsploitation films. Again, this is based on cinematography, themes, and how far they push the boundaries. The Naughty Nun at number 10, well, she's a killer. This film came out in 1979. It was more at the tail end of the Golden Age. It has more influences from giallo instead of the melodramas of the early 70s. And I really do love the murder sequences, and it has this awesome funky score. It probably has the best score out of the whole subgenre. However, it lacks the political intrigue, the sleaze, the blasphemy that the other nunsploitation revel in. The next protagonist isn't a killer, but she is just as naughty. This film was so hard to find. It probably put like 12 viruses on my computer finding it. And I can't say it was super worth it. It was pretty forgettable. At the center of this film, there is this convoluted plan to scam each other out of money. And it'll take until the end of the film to find out who's really on top. And no, I definitely didn't spoil it earlier in this video. I didn't feel like the church or nuns were really important to this film. It did have some beautiful shots and did not disappoint on the sleaze. Number 8 on this list is about one of the most power hungry naughty nuns. I was talking about how Killer Nun was kind of tame compared to other nunsploitation films, but so is The Nun and the Devil. The filmmakers don't really commit to any of their critiques of the church, even with Mother Julia's big speech at the end. And even though it is beautifully shot, it still is missing some of that art house aesthetic I love about exploitation. And it doesn't help that it's just a silly script.
Love will take care of us. Love has wings.
Yes, my love. And life has no meaning if I can't have you.
Don't steal my thoughts, Isabella.
I think Mother Julia is a fascinating character with a tragic downfall. I wish I could have seen more of her corruption and understand her more as a character, instead of following like other random subplots that feel pointless. At number 7, these nuns take Cloistered to the extreme. This film full sends the melodrama, which makes it so entertaining.
Gli Albornoz e la famiglia Fuentes si odiano da generazioni. E tu sei una Fuentes che ama un Albornoz.
I mean, it's cheesy, but it's way less awkward than The Nun and the Devil. And I am strangely invested in the Romeo and Juliet subplot, even if Lucita is exploited half the movie. It sort of has a plot, sort of has a point, while also retaining its sleazy nunsploitation aspects. The Mother Superior is kind of a confused villain, and it's unclear who she is and why she makes the decisions she does. The next naughty nun's only salvation is her letters.
O Lord of the darkness, Prince of all evil.
Jesus Franco is probably my favorite exploitation director, and Love Letters of a Portuguese Nun is one of his best. It's kind of funny in a messed up way. Like, Sister Maria is confessing her sins to a priest, and he's listening very intently. It's so messed up. It also has like this dreamlike quality to it, but also being so ripe with over-the-top sex scenes. but I wouldn't expect anything less from Jesus Franco. He has another nunsploitation film called The Demons if you want more Jesus Franco weirdness. At number 5, we have The Ultimate Heretic.
Now you will pay for bringing me into a world dominated by men.
This is probably the most inadvertently feminist nunsploitation film of the 70s, but still keeping true to the exploitation roots. You feel Flavia's anger and pain as she rips through the convent. She's going for Joan of Arc chic, I vibe. It's beautiful and tragic as you root for Flavia to gain her freedom, which was never attainable. The reason it's not in my top 4 is that while it's got some really great gore, it just doesn't push the boundaries as far as the other ones do. But at number 4, it doesn't just push the boundaries, but blows right past them. This one was a really hard pick. I honestly think it's a strong contender for the top 3 position. It's surreal, beautiful, grotesque, and has an intriguing mystery at its heart. My only complaint? I wish it focused more on Maya and her search for answers of her mother's death, because that thread only really comes into play in the last 30 minutes. But you should watch it just for the roast scene alone, seriously. One of the best moments in nunsploitation history. And I don't want to spoil the ending for you, but it's absurd. The next film on the list is also a stunning art house piece, one that even Guillermo del Toro is a fan of.
Alucarda.
This one's a shorter film, like barely past an hour, but every minute of that runtime is pure insanity. Its eerie atmosphere is deeply unsettling, right down to what the nuns are wearing. Like, not gonna lie, they look like mummies sprayed in blood. It's a total fever dream, and queer as hell. The next film also teeters somewhere between fantasy and reality. I love this film. It has such a good score. Like, there's one part that literally sounds like people sighing. I don't know, that's the only way I can describe it. And I cannot get past this man's devilish smile. It's like 70s hot, I don't know. It's a perfect watch if you want to see a naughty nun descend deeper and deeper into temptation, leaving us with no real answers. Okay. So the best of the best is, of course, the most sacrilegious of them all.
The Devil's Burn.
Devils is the film that most film historians point to as kickstarting nunsploitation. It's got enema exorcisms, cross orgy, alligator remedies, and you don't even want to know what she does with that femur bone. It's relentless, making you feel like complete garbage from start to finish. But it's such a masterpiece. It feels like it's being performed on stage because everything you see is exaggerated and almost unexplainable. I mean, the king is shooting Protestants dressed as birds.
Yes? Yes?
Pretty little birdie.
There are so many versions out there, but the uncut one is the hardest to find and absolutely worth it. It's banned in so many countries because it's so controversial for what it put on screen and what it has to say. There's no doubt in my mind The Devils is the best of nunsploitation. Nunsploitation is a very confused subgenre. It is sacrilegious but also pretentious. It has fetishized representation of queer women while also showing their sexual desires as something freeing. It has the male gaze stamped all over it, but it simultaneously is seeping with feminist themes. So I understand why nunsploitation isn't for everyone, but what I really love about this strange, very strange subgenre is it shows that what began as divine devotion ends as something raw, desperate, and absurdly human. Have a sweet nightmare tonight.